Hello, good day. Thanks for being here. This is a presentation to explain what is the Piscobamba Watershed Bioregion in Vilcabamba, why we are doing it, and how we're doing it. So basically, bioregion is a geographical area that is usually a valley, an island, a basin. In this case, we are a watershed, so we consider our watershed to be from the Podocarpus down to Malecatos. And the idea is that we want to put together all the regenerative projects that are protecting not only the environment but also the culture, the economy, the health of the people, that makes that all the existing projects work in coordination towards a common goal and through the funding that currently exists for bioregions. We'll be able to support new projects that we have identified as the projects that are important to reach that goal in this region in our 10-year vision. So, what is the vision of a region? It reads like this: communities in the Piscobamba watershed become self-sufficient with human presence integrated in harmony and respect with nature, conserving biodiversity, fostering cooperation, and generating abundance for all. This vision was developed at the last months of 2024 when we had a series of meetings with a group of people who are still interested in this happening here. There is a global movement that supports bioregions, and there are several funding options for these type of projects. So among our vision, our mission is to develop, finance, and implement regenerative and self-sufficient systems that address water cycle conservation, health and wellness, food sovereignty, local economy, renewable energy, natural construction, regenerative education, and ancestral knowledge. Generally, the bioregional movement is aligned with indigenous cosmovision. In this area in particular, there is not indigenous heritage, unlike all the rest of the Ecuadorian Andes. However, the cosmovision of indigenous peoples in all the Andes is the same. So we are aligned with that, as we will see in a while. The values, we borrowed the values from permaculture and made our own version, which are care for the earth, care for the people, a fair share, autonomy, community, and sacredness of life. Then we have the projects that are already active, that we have invited them to join this bioregional project. We have the community gardens, that there are actually two community gardens projects that we know of. One is managed by Walter, and it's a project that has been going since COVID, when he started teaching the women of Tumianuma to cultivate food in a responsible manner, respecting the land, respecting the planet, and with all natural materials. And there's another community garden that is part of the reforestation project that Finca Sagrada carries on with Árbol Corazón. That we have two pilot parcels. One that they're both in Tumenuma. One that is to develop an agroforestry parcel, and the other one is for syntropic agriculture. Both projects are developed in conjunction with the Technical University of Loja, and the final goal is to show communities in Loja that it is possible to cultivate using the local weather conditions, which, as you know, Loja is a drier area than most of Ecuador, and sometimes communities struggle with irrigation, which wouldn't need to be so, because these techniques show that it's possible to cultivate without irrigation. Then we have Aguaini. Aguaini Collective has been working since 2024 And basically what it wants is to restore the natural water cycle. Through the use of modifications in the landscape using techniques from permaculture. Agua Aine has been doing workshops, and the objective of the workshops is to teach the landowners in the area to how to make these little modifications in the land, so rainwater does not run off, but it stays there, and it will penetrate the soil down to the underground aquifers. That's the reason of the name Agua Aine. Aine means reciprocity in Quechua, and agua means water in Spanish. So the idea is that we want to teach the community to return water to the underground. Civilization has been pulling water from the underground, and unsustainable agricultural practices, deforestation, make that the soil is not so much absorbing of rainwater. So there's a phenomenon called runoff. That means that it rains, but the water does not penetrate the soil. So it goes down to the rivers, and that causes floods. And it's a factor to landslides and to obviously lose the fertility of the soil. So all this is what Agua Aine wants to solve using these techniques and defining something that Agua Aine calls like recovering the small water cycle. There are two reforestation projects. One is carried on by Finca Sagrada and Arbol Corazon, an NGO from Switzerland, and it has so far planted 25,000 native species in Kunturwachana mountain near Tumianuma, and is a work done with together with the Technical University of Loja, and it has a very high survival rate of planted trees because very smart techniques are using, so the plants are planted properly. Oh, and reforestation, there's also a reforestation program that started recently. I'm not totally aware of how many trees have been planted, but I know there's been a lot. There is a group that is led by Agustin, a guy from Argentina, and they're doing a great job. Assistant Kitchen is feeding many families that have financial problems, and they do a great job. Living Soil is a beautiful project by Alicia that is working with the community in Masamanaca, and they've been developed very quickly. Organic gardens with medicinal plants and edible vegetables, and they opened recently a store where you can buy everything from seeds to healthcare products to beauty products to kitchen spices. The store is amazing. If you haven't been there, I really recommend going there. And she also has the gratitude meals that they work to help the community get together, and there's a beautiful cafeteria with all the producers from there. It's an amazing project that Alicia is doing. Then community-based tourism. Finca Sagrada is also working to create a community-based operation in Tumenuma that, if you haven't been there, I recommend. The community-based project is not operating yet, but it's in the process. And of course, the farmers market, which is a landmark project in Vilcabamba that has been on for a few years and is a great project. This is an example of how the bioregional project can support existing project. Egma, who's the director of the farmers market, in Spanish it's Mercado Agroecológico, agroecological market. She's also the head of the Food Sovereignty Committee in the bioregion. This committee is still beginning to be formed, and the first project that this bioregional committee for food sovereignty is to start to take care about the consumer side, because the farmers market, they do a great job from the farmers side. So there are farmers, all the products are there, the supply is amazing. Everything you need to eat healthy you have in Vilcabamba, which is a luxury that only the main cities in Ecuador have, and we have here in Vilcabamba. However, if you compare the attendance of the farmers market on Saturdays and the free market on Sundays, the difference is amazing. The market on Sundays has probably 10 times more people visiting, and the difference of prices is not that high. So probably there are misconceptions that need to be fixed. There needs to be an awareness, a greater awareness in the local community, mainly the Ecuadorian, the Spanish-speaking community, but also the expat community, because there are many expats who seem to believe that all food here is healthy and natural, which is not true, because a lot of pesticides and synthetic fertilizer are utilized, and there is space for campaigns, even for Spanish-speaking residents that prefer the Sunday market instead of the agroecological market. And agroecology is a practice that supports not only the consumer, it's not only that you are eating healthier food, but also you are protecting the environment, because when a farmer chooses to go the ecological way, he's also making sure that the land is in a better shape. And integrative education, we have identified La Calandria. That is a school that teaches integrative education. They don't have one method in particular, but they have created their own curriculum. And one thing that they do that has attracted our attention is that the curriculum is totally in Spanish, is recognized by the Ecuadorian government, and they are basically ready to receive more Spanish-speaking students. So the potential that the Calandria has to serve more Spanish-speaking kids in the valley is big, because they don't have they are in an integrative school, but they're not that alternative, so they don't generate as much resistance as a totally alternative school, probably with an English-speaking curriculum, can generate in local families. And the fact that it's recognized by the Ministry of Education makes it very friendly for local families from Vilcabamba. So a project that the bioregion has regarding education, one of the things that we have in our turn-year vision is that we have scholarships, partial scholarships for local families, so they can pay but not pay as much, probably have half tuition, and have their kids having a great integral education. Calandria School has classes on different practical skills, and the kids leave the school really loving nature and knowing how to protect it. So then we have the why we're doing this. The why we're doing this is has to do with something that some people call the regenerative paradigm. That's why we are a regenerative bioregion. What does the regenerative paradigm mean? It is like the answer to the sustainability paradigm. Sustainability paradigm, basically what it says is we as humans need to have the lowest footprint in the environment. We are harmful and we need to protect it. And the best way to protect the environment is to not doing anything. So is in a way, is the way that we see it is that the sustainability paradigm is puts a little bit too much effort on the carbon footprint, being as it is that the theory that says that carbon emissions are responsible for global warming is just a theory, that the sustainability paradigm has brought to the status of a fact. So all the efforts go around reducing the footprint of the human activities, and that is incomplete, because it's for example, it supports reforestation projects that work with monocultures or with non-native species. The regenerative paradigm, it focuses more on regenerate the earth to the closest of its initial state. The regenerative paradigm recognizes the wisdom of nature and wants to mimic nature, wants to give nature back its power that was taken away from civilization with the pretentious belief that we can do better than nature and we are smarter than God and we can do better. So there is a speaker called Carol Sanford that she's a proponent of this regenerative paradigm, and she proposes 3 characteristics of the regenerative paradigm. One is to avoid standards and to avoid patterns to follow. The best example for this is the carbon credit market. The carbon credit market moves millions of dollars every year, or probably billions, from companies that are contaminating the environment, and in a way, it's a greenwashing effort to let these companies say that they are carbon free and they are ecological. Well, what they're doing is they're paying money to big corporations that have reforestation programs in the tropical areas, but that these reforestation programs are not necessarily good. There have been cases that they cut native forests to make these monoculture reforestation projects. And at the same time, indigenous communities that are really guardians of the Amazon forest, for example, they are not taken into consideration because they are too much fixed with standards. For example, standard is you cannot cut a tree, you cannot hunt an animal. But indigenous communities, they do hunt animals, they do cut trees, but at the same time, they protect the environment. So they've been guardians of the Amazon jungle for thousands of years, and they've done excellent work. And these people from the sustainability paradigm, they believe they can do it better, and they totally ignore all these indigenous communities that are doing this fantastic work on the name of sustainability. That is changing. There is a certifier company called Plan Vivo that is an alternative to Verra, that is the mainstream certification standard. And Plan Vivo, they do accept indigenous communities, and they do accept the terms of indigenous community, which is that they retain the control of the territory and they can do a small number of interventions, like cutting some trees and hunting some animals, as long as they don't do it big scale, which is a very ecological way to see things. However, this Plan Vivo certifying instance is only doing about less than 1% of the total carbon credit market. So it's really alternative. So the second characteristic, according to Carol Sanford, is that every whole has an essence that is being revealed and is in a state of evolution. So basically what it does is that it recognizes that the planet is a living being, and that we cannot just come and correct the imperfections of nature and pretend that we're doing better. So the best example of this is regenerative agriculture. Here in this image, you see the comparison of on the left of an industrial agricultural plantation, and in the right of an agroforestry parcel, and the difference is visible. This also applies to medicine, to psychotherapy, to many different areas of civilization, where still even the universities, which are supposed to lead change and to lead innovation and research and science, they are still trapped in a 19th century paradigm of sustainability, and they believe that we as humans, we can do better than nature, and we can correct things, and that the earth is an animated being. And the third characteristic of the regenerative paradigm is that the goal is to give life rather than arrest disorder. That means that that the regenerative paradigm doesn't focus so much in controlling the footprint, but more on recreate life, on to bring life back. Okay, and then we have the 4 pillars of regeneration according to the School for Regenerating Earth of Joe Brewer. Regenerative education, regenerative economy, ecosystem regeneration, and cultural regeneration and territorial healing. We'll talk more about this later. But we have created our governance model based on these 4 pillars of regeneration. So the way we are structuring the bioregion is that there is an outer circle that is represented in the WhatsApp group that currently has around 70 people. And we have chosen a platform like WhatsApp, even though some people don't like to use it for privacy reasons, but we want to involve the local community. It's very important that the local Vilcabambenses are part of the bioregion. If we go to a very alternative communication system, what would happen is the bioregion would be only for expats and certain expats who do not like WhatsApp. And the good news is that the bioregionalism is not something that is so much controlled by the people who govern the world. Actually, in the latest Davos meeting in Switzerland, one of the most talked about topics was bioregionalism. So for some reason that is hard to understand, these people are supporting bioregionalism. And that's one of the reasons that they are starting to pour huge amounts of funding to support bioregional projects. So the outer circle is composed by the people who run the projects, by committed citizens and patrons, people who probably don't live in Vilcabamba but like to be connected to Vilcabamba and choose to be in the outer circle. Is not limited to people who reside in the valley, and the main emphasis is to attract local Spanish-speaking Vilcabambenses. So then we have the central committees that is composed of the leaders of each one of the 6 committees: regenerative education, regenerative economy, ecosystem restoration, and cultural regeneration, plus 2 aspects that are central to the lives of people here. One is food sovereignty, and the other one is health and wellness. So those are the 6 committees that we are creating. And there's also and there is the central committee that is composed of the leaders of all these 6 committees. And there's also the legal backbone of the bioregion, that is the Asociación Finca Sagrada, which is an NGO that was founded by Walter many years ago, created by Walter and Susan, created to do good in the surrounding area of the farm. So right now the role of Finca Sagrada is to be the legal entity behind this and to facilitate the flow of funding from donors to the local community. So these are the thematic committees. Out of these 6, Our plan is to start with the three ones that are on the top: food sovereignty, health and wellness, and regenerative economy. And in a second stage, to proceed with the other ones: ecosystem restoration, education, and cultural regeneration. Among the projects in the 10-year vision that the Food Sovereignty Committee wants to work on is to expand the community gardens project. That right now, as I said, there are 2 projects in Tumenuma, but the idea is the bioregion helps to expand these projects to the rest of the valley, to create a seed bank to save the genetic landmark of the area, and to create community-supported agriculture networks with that I mentioned at the beginning, which is basically to work on the demand of ecological products. The supply is well taken care of, but we need to work on the demand. Then we have the ecosystems restoration committee that, according to the 10-year vision, will work mainly on education of people. There are some public schools that they teach the kids why mining is good for society. So our kids are being educated to learn to value mining. So how can we counteract that? What kind of education can we give our kids so they learn that there are things more important than money? The ecosystem restoration wants to support the recycling project, the reforestation projects, and the water conservation projects. Then we have the Regenerative Economy Committee that aims to create a community currency. That this has been there are people that have been working on this for a few years. So our plan is to finally come out with a community currency that helps the circular economy improve in these valleys, and that the money stays around here. There is also an entrepreneurship incubator and a community microcredit system. Then we have the Cultural Regeneration Committee that wants to promote artistic creation, wants to promote language exchange. There's many people here who speak English and would like to connect more with the Spanish-speaking community and vice versa. So the bioregion wants to work on that, to expand the community-based tourism activities, and to help recover ancestral construction methods. And then we have the Centro de Saberes. In English is the Learning Center. Is the hub of the bioregion's activities. It's basically a construction that we are seeking funding to do, which works as a living archive of ancestral and scientific knowledge. That, for example, all the initiatives, all the environmental initiatives that have existed in this valley need to be brought back to memory. We need to find out who was behind that, if they worked, if they didn't work, why they didn't work. Like to have a history, a recorded history of things that happened in this valley regarding regeneration. The Centro de Saberes should also do communication work to keep the bioregion alive and to widespread the concept. Another function of the Learning Center is to be always providing funding for the regenerative projects. Is the place where the committees meet, and is the point of contact with other bioregional learning centers, which are many in the world. The bioregional project that we are launching has a financial plan. The funding that we are raising is 290,000, And the idea is that after month 19, all the sustainability strategies are in place, so the project is self-sustaining and has some financial surplus that is useful for the microcredit program. The reason we are doing this now and in Ecuador is, well, many reasons. One is that Vilcabamba we feel that is ready, because there is a beautiful combination in Vilcabamba of an expat population that coincidentally is quite awake about the things that are wrong in the world and how it can be fixed. There are several regenerative projects already going on. Ecuador has a unique strength that the laws are very friendly to the protection of nature and to the empowerment of the people, even though our president by all means wants to suppress the fourth power, the citizens' power. We still have it, and it's really unlikely that the referendum that he is calling for November, he will win in his pretensions to suspend this power. And another reason we're doing this is because some of the people of the seed group are close to indigenous communities, mainly in the Amazon region, and we are witness of their big worry about the extractive industries, every time bigger, strongest presence. So what we want to do is, after the bioregion is consolidated in this area, to go out and start persuading the indigenous leaders to create their own bioregions so they can get funding, they can have their populations activated and be stronger, have stronger economies to protect themselves from extractive industries. And well, now we are towards the end of the presentation, so if you resonated with all that we've been talking about, maybe you're wondering, how can I get involved? Basically, there are 3 ways to get involved. One is to be in the WhatsApp group and to share information and then support the initiatives. For example, I gave the example earlier of the Agua Aini workshops. The Agua Aini workshops, the idea was to make one per month, but it hasn't done so because now that we are doing like one every 3 or 4 months, it's hard to fill the minimum required. So the idea is that with the bigger the WhatsApp group and the more people share the invitations and the offers of the regenerative projects, the response will be higher. And so, what I'm saying is that just by being in a group and by replicating and reposting the information there, you are working for the bioregion. The second way to get involved is by being in one of the committees. Remember that we are forming right now the committees for regenerative economy, for wellness and health, and for food for sovereignty. The idea is that the main language in the committees is Spanish, but we are aware that there's a big expat community that doesn't speak Spanish yet, so these groups will be friendly towards those people, and there will be a translation to make their life easier. And the third way to get involved is to be a patron. One of the ways that we want to achieve financial sustainability is to get 30 donors that can donate $50 every month to the bioregion. That is just a referential thing. It could be less donors donating more or more donors donating less. If you don't have $50 to donate, you can make your own amount, starting at $5 a month. We don't have the structure in place yet to take those donations because we're just in an initial stage, but it will be done soon. So in the meantime, you just know that those are the 3 ways you can get involved, and through the WhatsApp group, we will inform when we are ready to receive donations. So this is an image of the part of the seed group that got together to record a video to invite everybody to join the WhatsApp group, which I encourage you to do. The website that is over there, that's where you go, fincasagrada.org/bioregion, and there you also find an explanation of all this. So thank you for listening to this presentation, and remember to join the WhatsApp group if you haven't done so yet.